to valuable transmission towers.
So we are requesting that let at least every kilometer have some two army officers to help us keep this. And also we would like the cost to be covered by government, not the final consumer.
Apart from deployment, MPs want thorough investigations into alleged connivancy of sector employees and former contractors.
In Chiboga, I have some of them. They call me and tell me, okay, we know how to compensate ourselves. So I'm still thinking that probably there are some contractors who fail to fulfill all the payments to the people that are subcontracted. We need to look out into this because the ministry may not know whether the contractor actually fulfilled all the obligations.
We've had incidences where we've arrested a worker of the contractor taking part into vandalism.
The transmission body is calling for more support in fighting this twisted trend of vandalism.
Other agencies can come in and we really curb this problem together. Together we can win this.
The transmission body is undertaking restoration of the destroyed towers at the Bujagali Torres source transmission line with the wooden materials as an alternative for a temporary solution.
At least 1,210 refugees and host community in Yumbe, Madiokolo, Terego, Adjumani and Kiriandongo districts are to benefit from a Uganda shillings 4.6 billion grant from the European Union. The funds will support the Scaling Uganda project.
Educans, Educational Services, Window International and World Hunger Hilfe are recipients of the funds. The funds will facilitate training of over 1,200 refugees and host community in Yumbe, Madiokolo, Terego, Adjumani and Kiriandongo.
So if we focus on the skilling, which is more or less, I would say, a focus of what has been done, has been shown today, the skilling, the idea is really to empower the individual and the groups to be able to have a business that will continue beyond. So of course it's profitability for them. So to be able to have a service that they are good at delivering for a group that needs it. You know, when you see phone repairing or when you see working with wood or working with electricity or giving honey, these are all things that the beneficiary communities need, and luckily they are able to provide it at a quality that is the one that is needed. So this creates a relationship between a client and a service provider that continues beyond the project, of course.
The three selected organizations are currently implementing social and economic empowerment projects in refugee settlements in northern Uganda.
An effort was made to make sure that 50% of those people trained are women and girls. I'm also delighted to inform you that tracer studies indicate that about 7 out of 10 trained refugees and hosts find employment within 6 months after graduation. The impact of this project and other EU refugee projects is best demonstrated by the ongoing exhibition. So if you still haven't, please find time after this event to visit the exhibition space and to appreciate the change that was created thanks to the EU support.
The Scaling Uganda project, which started in 2017, has so far benefited over 5,000 refugees and host community.
So right now my life is okay. My kids, they are in school. Everything is now okay. Yeah, I'm so happy.
How long have you been in Uganda? And when did you come from Congo?
I came from Congo in 2002.
Wow.
I'm now something of 21 years.
I have my hives. I process honey. This time I'm able to get money and link people with the honey products, and there I can make candles. Even there is called propolis. Since I lack of capital, it doesn't fair. It is very hard for me to make that propolis, but it is expensive. It can treat ulcer.
For bigger business and access to local and regional markets for locally manufactured products such as honey, there is an appeal for extra support to certify the products.
I would request that we need some flexibility in a way that if we know that these products are there and they have come from the people from the students that we train, we provide markets for them. The second thing that I would like us jointly to think about is the issue of certification. They are good products, quality products, I may say. But we need to move forward to ensure that these products are certified so that we can open up markets, even in the neighboring countries.
Refugee response initiatives by the EU address a wide spectrum of issues such as humanitarian aid, water, hygiene, sanitation, among others. West Nile region and northern Uganda host more than 1 million refugees, mainly from South Sudan and the Democratic Republic of Congo. For UBC News, I'm Jerome Omara.
Local animal feeds manufacturers are urged to improve standards and quality in order to compete favorably with imported concentrates and premixes. Due to quality and standards concern, commercial farmers prefer importing animal feeds. Standards of locally manufactured animal feeds must be raised to high levels to substitute imports and satisfy the customer needs. This has been emphasized at a sensitization drive organized by Uganda Animal Feeds Manufacturers Association in Kisenyi.
It is our mandate to ensure that the quality of feeds that comes to the market is of appropriate quality. So we work with another government agency, that is UNBS, to formulate standards. Standards for feeds of different types.
Kisenyi suburb is a well-known place of formulation of animal feeds. These entrepreneurs aggregate an enormous amount of animal feeds for local and regional markets.
These particular additives you see here comprise between 70 down to 50% of the complete meal. You cannot have a complete meal unless you mix these additives. These additives, for example, you will find that a bag of concentrate of 50 kilos has a composition of 50% or 35% or 25% or 5%, depending on the composition of the particular concentrate.
There is a complaint of loss of market for local ingredients in preference of imported concentrates and premix, a situation that is blamed on low supervision and corruption.
Mukene akaberebwe muno abantu bagula mukene ne bamuyiwa ne bamuteekamu ettaka ate bamala muteeka ku mmotoka ne bamuleeta wano fe abasuubuzi ne tukola ki ne tumusuubula lw'ensonga lwaki omutindo gwaffe ogw'emmere y'enkoko gufudde obulungo ne buba nga bo bukola ki butusinzizza amaanyi kubanga ebintu ebyaffe bye tutunda saawa zino babifuula nti nno bibi kituufu bibi kubanga mukene yokka is the problem. Ebisigadde mukene n'amasonko ebisigadde tebirina buzibu kubanga kotoni omuntu amuleetanga waali sunflower era tumusuubula ku factory ng'era waali naye mukene tekikyasinza okutuleetera obuzibu era mukene yasudde akatale kaffe.
The major problem here is quality. Just as you've heard from so many speakers here, everyone sources ingredients from a different place. Therefore, there is a big challenge with the quality. Now, as ministry, it is our mandate to ensure that the quality of feeds that comes to the market is of appropriate quality.
It is on this basis that this meeting at the center of animal feeds production is taking place.
Having people from the grassroots joining from all parts of the country, we're going to have the solution to the problems people are facing. For example, you had someone who says, you find I've given a loan to someone of 50 million and I cannot follow up with him. But now with the agriculture police, with the structure of the association, we can track whoever that steals somebody who has invested in his business. So having the association is going to help us to bring quality standards and good service providing in Uganda.
There is an expectation that this stakeholders meeting will go a long way in tackling the issues grappling the sector by creating a symbiotic relationship between the animal feeds producers, their supervisors and regulators. Dennis Igoa and Juman Samba for UBC News. More news in the energy sector. Government of Uganda has launched a special committee to manage safety and maintenance of large dams for any uncertainties. The committee is mandated to supervise standard designing of large dams and proper maintenance. Let's have a look.
The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, together with Ministry of Water and Environment, will be mother ministries of Uganda Committee on Large Dams. This will oversee smooth implementation of committee objectives at international level.
And also to set up a contingent plan, emergency plan, such that in case disaster happens, because you don't invite disaster, we are handling nature. We are disorganizing the natural flow of waters. We are damming, we are piling. So you never know the effect of climate change, how it can affect these large dams.
While launching the Uganda Committee on Large Dams, the third Deputy Prime Minister, Lukia Nakadama, emphasized vigilance while maintaining the dams to save people living downstream.
Disaster happens because you don't invite disaster. We are nature. We are disorganized.
The formation of this committee is derived from the 2019 agreement, which embraced Uganda into the International Commission on Large Dams, ICOLD. The objective is to ensure proper design while constructing large dams.
Most of the failures appears in the first years of the dam, during 5 first years, and that is the situation we have in the recently built dam here in Uganda.
Disaster preparedness strategic plan is another item the committee has started to respond to any uncertainties.
Appropriate dam design here is really to consider all aspects of integrity of the dam, because the dam is always worked on by water. Water is trying to find its way to pass through. So all those processes can bring down a dam. If the foundation is weakened, it can just collapse.
Uganda Electricity Generation Company Limited is the line agency to supervise the operations of the committee while overseeing dams operations in Uganda.
We will be regularly carrying out surveillance and monitoring of our dams and also updating our emergency preparedness plans.
Dam safety guidelines have also been developed and dam safety regulations are under preparation.
By Uganda joining the International Commission on Large Dams, it is required to develop an emergency preparedness plan for all dams to ensure safety on the downstream communities and saving government expenditure of managing damages at the high end. Abdu Nasili Lubwama and Lydia Chomkama, UBC News.
10 marine officers from Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo have graduated after 5 years training. The initiative, supported by the Central Corridor Transit Transport Facilitation Agency, seeks to boost marine sector human resource capacity in the Central Corridor member countries. Water transport is the most affordable over other modes of transport. However, there are several major challenges in the region affecting sector growth and development.
We need to think how we can develop our transport sector, especially building a new ships. Not a new ships, but we need to build a latest ship technology. Because if we're going to Goma, we've got a number of ships, but they are not in a good condition. Why the government of Niger Republic of Tanzania have set a fund now to make sure that we're going to build a new ship with a new technology.
Captains or seafarers, we are short of these people who drive the ships and who maintain them. It's a pleasure for us that today we have passed out 2 officers from Uganda who are coming to close that gap and solve to some extent the shortage of manpower in seafaring.
Training seafarers is a costly venture. The Central Corridor Transport Facilitation Agency says it has so far spent $550,000 to train 10 Marine cadets from 5 member countries of Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The directive and the decision to establish a capacity building program in the maritime sectors come into enhance competitiveness and the resilience of the Central Corridor through logistic and market-based solutions. Accordingly, Central Corridor entered into a partnership with the Dar es Salaam Maritime Institute to provide the training and the capacity building, and a training program was developed. Each of the member states sent 2 students whom Central Corridor enrolled under the program in July 2017, and we are happy to witness this day of graduation of our first intake after 5 years of training. As a Central Corridor Secretariat, we believe that we are on the way of realizing the objective of the program, which was aimed at creating a pool of maritime experts.
These officers successfully completed a 5-year course within Tanzania and abroad. While on attachment, Hakiza Kenneth, a Ugandan, narrowly escaped death when their ship flying a UAE flag sank near the shores of Iran.
We had a terrible wind on the sea and our vessel couldn't overcome it. Accidentally, some did not make it, but I managed to go through. God saved me. So I've had good experience. I've sailed all the 7 seas. I've been in the Persian Gulf, I've been in the Indian Ocean, the Pacific, Mediterranean Sea, sailing with different vessels.
Male dominance was also visible at the ceremony. Out of the 10 students from across the Central Corridor region, only one who has graduated is a female, and this has raised a concern on why there is minimal participation of the females.
The maritime transport is a male-dominated industry. We appreciate that out of 10, at least 1 was a female. But the message is clear that all member states needed to take into account. As they go ahead in nominating new cadets, we should all ensure that at least out of the 3, we have 1 female.
Well, what inspired me mostly in this sector is the faith that I have in me. Of course, I know this sector is male-generated, but mostly you need courage in everything that you do. So, being that I got an opportunity from Central Corridor, I say that I am able to join the maritime sector. I started doing this maritime sector. I had so many challenges, of course, being on board ship, we find so many males, find no facilities for female to stay and sleep and have accommodations like that. But all those challenges are part of the training. We believed that's it. So I would love to add the ministers who are in these sectors, in the maritime sector especially, to look at these challenges.
The nomination exercise of the second cohort of 15 marine trainees is ongoing, and unlike the first one, there is an emphasis of the nomination of at least 1 female trainee from each member state.
We should really embrace the transportation by water. We have inland water bodies, we have the ocean. It is the cheapest transport you can have as regards to bulk goods. It's cheap, the sea you'll use it, a lake you'll use it, unlike a road which needs maintenance and repair, this one doesn't need anything. So let's promote transport by water. It is the way to go, so that we empower people to do business cheaply. And when the business community does business cheaply, it means they will sell their goods and services to the wananchi at a cheaper price.
Dennis Igoha for UBC News in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. On a lighter note, Onoma Hotel Kampala has marked 1-year anniversary in Uganda. In an exclusive interview with the Business Roundup, the investors expressed optimism despite a tough operating environment. One year down the road, as we know, you opened during the COVID-19, when we were in the middle of COVID-19. How is the hotel industry faring on your side?
Look, I think, of course, COVID had a very big impact on the group as a whole throughout Africa. I think part of our strategy has always also been to have a diverse portfolio spread across the different Africas. Not everything happens in the same places at the same time, but of course COVID was different because COVID impacted the world and impacted, of course, the hospitality industry very, very toughly. That being said, as investors and operators, we have a long-term view on where it is that we want to set up base, and Uganda has been, in the roadmap for our development for years. And I think, as African investors and hospitality operators, we know that it can be bumpy. The road can be bumpy, but we have to show long-term commitment to the places where we want to be. Thankfully, that crisis is hopefully behind us now, or at least we've learned to live with it. Ebola is something that we've already gone through in the past, so I touch wood, making sure that this is not going to be something too dramatic. But we had that also, in 2015, if you remember correctly, that spread also to West Africa, where we had operations at the time. And again, our purpose is to serve the communities, to give a different hospitality offering. And our commitment, to the countries is secular. It's forever. We're here. We're happy to be here, and we call the place home. So we're confident in the economy and in the recovery. That being said, and I'll stop with that. Of course, it's been challenging, but I think that given the lifestyle component that we have in this hotel, the vibe that we've had tremendous support from local communities in Uganda. Our customer base has been very domestic throughout the first stages of the COVID crisis. As we recovered, it's been basically people who are coming here for food, beverage, drinks, meeting, experience, etc. And now, as the global tourism economy is recovering, airlines are opening back up again, things will ramp up. We're confident.
We seek to see that startups and innovative business scales up to a place where they are commercially viable. And from Uganda Development Bank's point of view, we have various interventions to achieve this aspiration. One of them is equity investment, because innovation may not be very well suited for conventional types of financing like debts, where typically you would need collateral security and a range of other stringent requirements that are not really suited to the type of young industry and young innovation that we have seen demonstrated on hand here.
It has been a hectic but fruitful period for our colleague and BRU host Wadulo McArnold. I guess some of you have been missing him on set. As BRU team and UBC Newsroom Department, we wish the newly wedded couple of Mark and Sharon Wadulo a happy marriage. Thanks for being part of the show. I've been your host, Elise. Ciao.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.